Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, where we will bring you candid conversation. In each conversation, we will talk about real life ups and downs while tackling unresolved matters. We will also unmask issues and truly speak straightforward and candid about our needs and brokenness, while allowing ourselves to exhale so that we can become victorious. This is a place where you can be open to the possibilities of living life in abundance while gaining tools to become bold and complete. So let's get to it.
And welcome back to our episode of the Love and Victory Show with Val. If you're just now joining us after that break, you may be like, girl, why are you sitting there? You know where you're supposed to be. But
now you know where you're supposed to be.
And but we're switching it up today because Brother Carter and Mrs. Carter on their anniversary trip. They're flying out of the country.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
They're going international.
Okay, I love it.
Baby.
So I'm here to fill in, and I plan on doing a pretty good job.
No, you've been killing it. You've been
Yes.
crushing it.
Thank you. I was so nervous, but once I get on camera, it just comes out. I don't gotta
just come
try.
out home. The single childness comes out.
The being a diva comes out. I'm channeling my inner Miss Carter. And I
Okay,
have
good.
Stephanie here to back me up. You help me feel more confident
I
too.
adore you.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to be talking about what was your last straw, and in that we're going to be discussing, what was your breaking point? How did you know it was time for something to be over? Whether it be a relationship, a friendship, a church, a job, you never know. But before we do that, I want everyone to introduce themselves. I'll go first. As you guys know, I'm usually behind the scenes, but I need a lights, camera, action today. So my name is Abigail. I am the executive producer for the Love and Victory Show with Val, but today she's the host, and she's here to kill it. That's all I gotta say.
I love it. And I'm Stephanie. I am co-hosting with the amazing Abby, and I'm just a girl. That's what Tierra typically says. I'm just a girl. I'm an OG Carter crew, and that's all I'm gonna say because everyone knows me. It's giving, it's giving popularity, and so I don't want to overindulge.
Being a regular.
You don't know who I am.
I'm a regular here.
Yeah.
Y'all know what it is.
Yeah.
But don't let her forget. You therapize.
Yeah, I am a therapist.
Yes, and tell it.
And I write books and things.
She's an author. She's a therapist.
Really just a person who really loves people, and then I'm blessed to do what I love to do because of who I am.
And she's that girl.
It's the energy that I like to exude. Without saying it.
And if I might
let me be
chime in,
humble. Let me
if
be
I might
humble.
chime in, she also makes bomb coloring books.
Oh,
that
thanks,
I have
Alan.
one
Yeah.
of
And she
that I
does.
was coloring in this week. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks, Alan. Alan got one of my coloring books. If you need a low stimulus self-care activity, you can go on Amazon and type in "My Therapist Told Me to Color," and there's going to be a great coloring book that's going to come up. It's going to be full of quotes that you can meditate on while you color.
I bought one.
In the dope, I love it.
Oh yeah, I got it for my mom for her birthday, and she loves it. She got out all her colors, and then she was driving me crazy because then she's looking on Amazon for these bougie colors. I'm like, girl, if you just don't use the Crayola,
No, I actually want some because I saw one of her customers, her coloring was phenomenal and it made me a little jealous.
Yeah.
I'm a little competitive.
Some people like,
So I need to get some better.
All right, well, hold on.
I need to get some better colors.
I'm gonna take mom's side on this because I got bougie colors.
Just for the coloring
they
book.
make gel retractable crayons.
Oh, what is
Yes.
okay.
Gel retract.
Yes.
No,
and
I'm
I have a
Amazon right now.
72 pack of colored pencils along with it.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm overhyped. So next person, please introduce yourself.
Yes, Tierra, tell us who you are.
I'm Tierra and I'm just a girl. I'm happy to be here.
And don't forget, don't let her do that. Come on now.
She's a coach. She is
She's a professor.
philosophical. Yeah,
I
she's a
profess.
professor.
She professes. She's a podcast host.
Yeah,
I host.
What doesn't she do?
nothing. And she's a fashionista.
That too.
Mhm.
She came with the cheetah print bag today. My favorite.
Hey.
Yeah, show your bag. Okay.
Represent.
Show the bag.
Show
Show
the
the bag.
bag.
Show the bag. That is really cute.
Ooh.
Okay.
And she is a rich girl. Na, 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 na.
And And last but certainly not least,
Alan Pruitt. So I am I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3. I'm a business owner of a CPA firm where we are professional tax strategists. So yeah. And I love to color and I love to bowl.
Oh, you love to bowl.
Speaking of bowling,
you're gonna enjoy this next
great
game.
segue.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So we're going to start our In the Loop segment. In the Loop is where we keep you guys in the loop with everything we have going on.
You, Alan.
And conveniently, that was such a great segment. You don't even know what you just did.
Yeah.
You don't
I'm here
even
to set
know.
it up properly.
Because we have our bowling and brunch event coming up with our nonprofit L&B Enterprise Resources Inc. You can scan the QR code there to get your ticket, but Alan, I'll text it to you to make it way easier for you.
Yeah.
We're going to have bowling competitions. We're going to have raffles. We're going to have such a good time. This will be our 3rd bowling and brunch event. And Stephanie and Tierra joined us last time.
That's great.
Tell us how fun it was.
It was really fun, and I'm a really great bowler, so I whooped everybody that was in the lane that I was in. Tierra knows because she was one of the ones that I whooped.
It was
in bowling.
It's never
was
great when
OD.
I'm not the one that's winning. I be liking to talk junk. You can't talk junk when you're in last place. So
I'm the same way, no matter how bad I'm doing.
It's a good time, though. We had food, great company.
Mhm.
Some people won trophies.
Mhm.
We didn't.
was
But
fun.
it was fun. Yeah.
it was fun.
That is
It was such a
awesome.
good time.
Well, Stephanie, I hope you're ready to come in 2nd place this year.
Mm.
Alan, I'm really good.
If you want to
I'm
beat,
ready.
if you want to beat Alan and
what it
beat
is.
Stephanie, come join us for our bowling and brunch. This bowling and brunch is a fundraiser for our toy drive because L&B, we are hosting a toy drive just like we do every year. You can drop off your toys at 616 FM 1960 Road West, Suite 101. Our business hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But if you can't make it or you just don't want to come out here, that's fine. Scan the QR code there and give us some money.
Yeah, some
A little bit of money, and we'll go buy all the toys. We're going to buy bikes. We're going to bring all sorts of stuff with the Texas Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
So I'm so super excited
Yeah.
about that. What other, do you guys want to finish off our In the Loop?
Yeah, remember, guys, every Monday, first Monday at 8 a.m. Oh, sorry. Postpone VK Career Conversation. So Tasteful and Toxic Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Don't miss it. Then we have Journeys and Ambitions Friday at 11 a.m. with your hosts today, Abby, Gail, and
Right.
Jennifer. And then if you want to promote your business on the Love and Victory Show, email us at info@lvwithval.com. Phone number of 832-913-1359. Or you can also visit us on our website, lvwithval.com. Okay,
That's
guys?
right. So now that we've kept you guys in the loop, giving you a little rundown of everything we have going on, you'll be coming to bowling and brunch, right?
Absolutely. I'm
Okay.
there to win.
Okay. Bring your family, bring your kids, bring your wife, bring your folks,
Everybody.
bring your friends,
Your
bring the
neighbors.
haters, bring everybody with you.
I'm actually excited if you can like really bowl and how you're professing. I am actually excited to bowl with people.
Who are-
Who know how to bowl.
I saw that.
Well,
side-eye.
because that was my last straw. The people on my lane, they were going around, they were loquacious, talking to everybody. I had to keep going and getting them to come back to bowl.
Tierra was there for a good time. She was not there to win.
I did come to win, but I started off rough and I couldn't come back from it, so I just stopped caring.
Every time she came back to the mission, she's like, next time when I go, I'm just not gonna twit. Like this time when I go, I know what it was.
Because I'm like, I
lean
know I
too
can go,
much.
but it's something off with the way I'm throwing the ball. Maybe I need to go like this.
I feel like you can't have nails when you bowl either. I feel like
Yeah,
the nails get in the
that
way.
was
Yeah.
definitely
it
an
was, It was
issue.
the lanes.
It was an
Being
issue.
lanes,
It was.
right?
It
That's
was
right.
the
That's
lane.
what it was.
No,
Yeah.
it was the nails. The nails was the issue. Nails was the last straw.
Yeah.
I don't like to lose.
Okay, and you want to read us of our acronym to get us
Wait,
set the tone?
before we get started, I saw a couple comments from Brother Carter real quick. I
Okay.
figure he probably want to hear that. He said Stephanie is the girl version of the Brother Carter, and
100%.
she's very beautiful. And then he also said, Alan, you have a tough set, so know that I am with you.
He literally said, he was like, we need a man on the set.
There
Because
we go.
he was like, with Abigail hosting, it's going to be too much girly stuff.
Appreciate that, Brother Carter. Appreciate that.
All right.
All right, our acronym of the day is ENOUGH. E is for entropic, losing structure or falling apart. N is for negligent. Optimistic, having a positive and hopeful outlook. U is for unyielding, resolute, and unwavering in determination or principles. G is for grounded, sensible, realistic, and down to earth. And H is for harmonious, marked by agreement, cooperation, and a balanced relationship.
Ooh.
I like
And
that.
as you guys know, the acronym is supposed to kind of set the tone for our conversation. I chose the word enough because a lot of times when we're at that last straw, we've had enough.
Yeah.
We're sick of this. We're over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to start off by asking everybody, what are some signs that someone has hit their breaking point? Or yourself? Do you want to go first here? You look like you're ready to go.
Oh, I was taking in the question.
Digesting it.
Some signs that someone has hit their breaking point.
Or you can use yourself as an example if you know what your limits are.
So excessive complaining, or even like being more like recluse, like not being around people like you do, or kind of being disattached?
Yeah.
Detached.
Yeah.
Detached.
Okay,
Me,
Brother
Carter.
Carter.
I swear his spirit is in the room. Detached from, when you are in social settings. Yeah, maybe like those are a couple of the signs. And I think when you just like stop talking and you stop asking.
Yeah. You like disassociate.
Yeah, like when you're no longer like the stuff that you were like, hey, and it, the naggy stuff, like all of that ceases when it's like, okay, I realize now you just ain't got it, and I'm about to set you free, my brother or sister, or job, or
whatever it may be.
Yeah, whatever.
What about you, Alan?
I would say when you're just going through the motions, when you've mentally, checked out and going through the motions, quick personal story for me is at a job I had previously. I was a controller of a engineering company, large company. And but I noticed over time what I was doing started diminishing. The different things I was trying to accomplish weren't being listened to, different things like that. And so stuck around. It was, nice job for what it was, got to support the family, but I noticed I was just going through the motions. And so that's kind of what led to kind of me starting my own business. I kind of had my business on the side, but then really started going all in because that's what brought me passion, because I loved it, helping people, helping small businesses, paying Uncle Sam the least amount possible. I see it as a game, like, okay, hey, how can we do this? How can we do that? But, at that job, I was just going through the motions and I was fully checked out. So I think when you get to that point, as we talked about earlier, hey, you got to look inside yourself like, okay, you're still in control of, what you're doing. Hey, if your job sucks, go start looking for another one. You know what I mean? Let's not just complain about it. If things are going the way you want to, as we talked about, we're in the information age. Research how you can, get things better, how can you improve it. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. And what about you, Stephanie?
I just am piggybacking off of what they said. But I think for me, the greatest indicator is that I am on autopilot. What you said, I am not an active participant in my life. I am on autopilot. Things are happening to me, and I'm not necessarily feeling like I'm in the driver's seat. And that is a major indicator for me that I've hit my breaking point, or I've hit a wall, and I'm on my last straw, and I need to go back to the drawing board and rest and recuperate and formalize a plan to move forward.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely that complacency, the being on autopilot, not just kind of going through the motions. I also had a job before I started working for the Love and Victory show. I worked in retail and I was manager, and I thought I was hot stuff.
Oh, you were.
I was hot stuff. And still is, always will be. And that's exactly what's happening to me. I was going through the motions, and I remember what my last straw was for that was I had moved locations, and the person who was above me wanted me to fire people that she had been giving second, third, fourth, fifth chances to. I came in as a newcomer, and she was telling me to fire her employees. That was my last straw. But and then once I decided, okay, I need a new job, I was looking for other jobs and stuff like that. And I normally am not the type of person to just put my 2 weeks. Like normally I give like plenty of notice. But I was like, peace. I'm leaving
I'm
you.
gonna head out.
And they were in shambles, and I did not care. I was like, it is my time to go, because I had hit my last straw. I was going through the motions, and I knew I couldn't last another second.
Man.
Has there been a time where you had to?
Oh my gosh.
Where you were like, I don't even care if I do the right thing. Like, I just need to drop it. But it doesn't have to be a job. It could be a relationship.
Well, yes, I would say several times in my life, I didn't care whether I've done the right thing. I just need to get out of here because I'm literally I'm at capacity. I'm overflowing and I'm not sober minded. That's another thing. When you hit a place where you cannot think clearly to make an informed decision, you make poor choices. And ultimately, you compromise your integrity sometimes because of those choices. And hopefully you can go back at some point and apologize or reconcile with that individual. But I've definitely been in situations where I have not made the best decision because I did not heed the warning signs. But there were so many opportunities for me to take care of myself before I got to autopilot.
That's true.
And I just kept override. And then people get caught in the crossfire of my negligence. And I'm sure that still happens sometimes. I would hope that I've matured and grown more where I take heed to those warnings and I don't override anymore. I actually look at them as opportunities to take care of myself and to make a decision for future me right now. But that is difficult. And it's difficult to identify the indicators when you are so used to hitting the override button.
That's so good.
And I'm the type of person, I kind of get this, that you're this way too. I like to feel needed. I like to be everywhere, and I want to feel like people think I'm important. It's the only child syndrome. You know what I'm saying? But I do this thing where I spread myself too thin. And and in my life, I've learned that, like, okay, when I know something, when I'm adding something else to my plate, I'm like, okay, something else needs to pull back because I don't want to get to that. I don't like when I'm in a breaking point state of mind because I am not myself. I'm very irritable. I'm snippy. I'm mean. And that's how I get when I reach that breaking point. How are you when you've hit your breaking point?
No, I'm like looking in your eyes because, baby, you are talking to me. But yeah, like definitely getting irritable, and feeling very easily overwhelmed. Because sometimes you have so much on your plate, you can't afford for anything to go left in any area because one small little change will just disrupt everything. And just being like really sensitive to stuff. I think that's a huge indicator. And I think for me too, when I spend a lot of time, like, because I'm a thinker and can be an overthinker. So when I keep having to bring something up to try to really understand, like, well, why is this? Like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like, when I have to keep doing that after a while, it's like, this is just not a fit for you, whatever that is. It could be the relationship. It could be the job. It could be like when I keep going into like solution mode where I'm trying to find a way to make this work. And I've exhausted and I keep exhausting. And usually those attempts to try to make it work involve me having to like contort myself in different ways to try to see, well, maybe if I can just do this or make this adjustment over here. And I think once I start getting to the end of that, it's like
when you have nothing left to sacrifice.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is in the moment where you like, you don't see that like it's just not a fit. It's like, no, let me see if I can do this and maybe this will fix it. Or maybe let me try this. But then when you get to that point where it's like, you know what, baby, I think that this ain't working. And again, it's not even just with relationships, it's jobs. It could be literally anything.
Any situation.
But when I get to the end of like solution mode where I'm like going hard, I'm praying about it, I'm doing this, I'm doing it. It's like, that's another indicator too. I feel like if something takes up like 85% of your prayer life,
oh yeah,
like if you're in a relationship and you spend most of your prayer life trying to fix or figure out the other person, or if you're at a job and you spend 85% of your prayer life like, God give me strength and blah blah blah, like that's probably an indicator. And that's been an indicator for me, this is not for you. And it's an old Chinese proverb, I say it often, it's don't cut the person to fit the cloth. Like this is a thing that you put on, or this is a role that you play in this setting. It should not require you, not to say we should not be challenged and we should not change, but it should not require you to have to cut off pieces of yourself in order to make this work.
I like that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How do you all know when it's just adversity that you're experiencing, or you actually need to sever ties, whether it be a job, relationship, church, whatever it is?
Oh, can I go?
Well, yeah, it's my question, so I'm listening.
I feel like I definitely like to think things through because, like I said earlier, I'm not a giver-upper. It takes a lot
That's
for
so
me to
cute.
get to that point where I'm like, okay, it's time to cut this off.
Yeah.
I will think about something for months. I will pray on it. I will go to therapy. I will like seriously sit and ponder all the pros and cons. I'm not like I don't need to like write things out. Like I can just kind of think it through.
Yeah.
But I really do feel like there's a feeling that you get inside when you feel at peace, when you think about, okay, what happens when I let this go? When you feel peace in your heart at the thought of letting that thing go,
Yeah,
I think that's when you know.
that's good.
What about you, Alan?
Yeah, oh man, that's an excellent question. I would say a couple different things on that one is, similar to you, it's like, hey, you don't want to give up on something too soon. Like, hey, I can make this work. I can make this fit. I can do this. I can change that. I'm always somebody who's thinking like, how can I make this process better? How can I change this to fit my situation?
Yeah.
But I think, hey, you should always give it time, give it effort just to make sure it's not adversity and that is something that you need to break through. But I kind of like what you're saying. Like there comes a point to where, I'm start visualizing the other side of it. Like, okay, I've been trying to break through this wall. Okay. Is there a way I can go around the wall? What does it look like on the other side of it? Can I change this situation? And if that's the case, I think that's when you realize like, okay, no, I'd be much better served putting this energy on this other side, or this isn't adversity. I just need to move on to a different chapter. That's what I would say when it comes down to it.
Do you think as a man, because we were all kind of saying that when we've reached that breaking point, as women, we're more emotional, right? Like, and we get snippy or whatever. Do you feel like as a man, you have more pressure to kind of hold it together?
Yes, no doubt. There are many days where I feel that, as I say, I have a wife to support. I have 3 kids to support. I have a, business, 11 other people on my team to support. So, that load gets heavy sometimes. And so hence why I'm shouting out the coloring book, because I realize, hey, you always have to choose you. You always have to choose you first. As they say, like, hey, if you're in an airplane and something happens, you got to put your own mask on first, right?
Yeah.
Before you can help anybody else. So you always have to choose you in those situations. And so that's what I've learned to do, to, have some self-care time, to have some meditation time, to have some prayer time, because it is a heavy load just in life, for men in general, or at least the men who are doing what they're supposed to do.
Let's be clear.
Not trying to throw shade, but for the men that are doing what they're supposed to do, it is a heavy load. So it is a tough burden to bear. But once again, I'm always somebody who's up for the challenge, and I'm like, okay, how can I figure this out? How can I rework this? How can I do this? But you do always have to choose yourself. You always have to make sure that you're good first. And then you can, go on and help others, because like you were talking about, sometimes there's so many things on your plate, and I've learned, hey, you got to say no. You can't make other people's emergency your emergency. So it just comes to a point where it's like, you know what? I'm sorry for you. I hate that for you, but I got to choose me in this situation.
Absolutely.
It's hard when you're a giving person too to do that. To like look at somebody suffer and not jump in and do everything you can.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
That's why you need to establish boundaries in your relationship while you're healthy. Because life is going to come. The storm is going to come. It's going to slap you over the head.
Yep.
And then you're trying to still function while you're in a storm as if you aren't in the storm, and you're trying to still give as if you have the capacity how you would have if you were a healthier, more stabilized version of yourself. And that is just not the case.
Yeah.
I think that is something that we will do. Again, we hit the override button. People are calling your phone. You're dealing with your own stuff, but yet and still your friend is calling your phone who is in a situation that they've been in constantly, and they're looking just to dump on you. And you're just open to it. And now when you got on the phone with them, your battery was already at 30%. Now it's at -10. And then someone else calls you and they have an issue. you have to check yourself in that savior complex, your need to be God in other people's lives. And I've had to check that before I was a therapist. And as a therapist, I always say everyone is the expert of their own life. I don't go into my sessions giving advice. You need to come up with, I'm going to ask probing questions, but ultimately we need to come up with the own solution to our issues, because that helps you to feel empowered.
Yeah.
And then you're able to do it later on your own too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've acquired the tool. You have the tool in your tool belt. So when you're presented with a tough situation again, because you will be, you know what to do and how to take action and how to move forward. But it is advantageous of you to set those boundaries in the beginning of your relationships, because when you hit that wall, you have to know that you don't have it to give. You don't have it to give.
Yeah.
But what about those people like who are always, well, not always, I'm sorry. I'm going to say the people who are still in that type of victim mentality, right? The people who don't really understand that you are the solution to your own challenge, to your own problem. You can find the solutions because, again, they're already within us. So like I listen to a lot of self-development programs, and I know life is about the questions that you ask yourself. The solutions will come from the questions that you ask. Because if you're telling yourself like, why does this always happen to me? Kind of like back to your cut the crap. Why does this happen to me? Why do I have to deal with this? You're not going to find a good solution. You're never going to find a good answer.
If you're just boo-hooing the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to kind of fix that inner language, ask yourself the right questions, and you'll see that the solutions will come up. But if you come from the victim mentality and you're like, oh no, I can't quit the job, or oh no, what am I going to do after, or oh no, I can't find the solution, then you're always going to stay there, right? You're going to be stuck there. So your last straw might be where you probably end up getting fired. You probably end up in a worse situation than you were before, that you end up in like learning a very big and hard lesson because you didn't know how to cut it off, how to stop pushing the override button and change yourself, change your life.
And that goes back to enabling, which I think you kind of touched on a little bit. Like, if you're being everything for everybody, just, yes, I'll take care of it. Yes, I'll take care of it. Yes, I'll do it. Then they never figure it out on their own. And then you will leave them scrambling because you've done way too much. And I think you can enable yourself too.
Yeah.
If you're on override and you're just doing more than you can, that's when people go into those unhealthy coping mechanisms, drinking, drugs, sex, whatever, anything really, eating. Or even shopping.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, that's my problem.
Shopping. But she loves her Target.
I do love Target.
Yes.
I was just telling you about. But I think you can it's setting boundaries with other people, but it's also setting boundaries with yourself and making yourself face your own consequences. You wanted to say something, Tierra?
Sure. So I'm actually dealing with this right now. And one of the things that I heard the Lord tell me within the last couple of weeks is just because you have the answer doesn't mean it's your assignment. So you can be able to look at someone's situation, like a friend that's calling you or whoever, or at work, and you're like, dang, I can very clearly see like a great solution to this problem. Well, goes back to setting those boundaries with yourself, right? God, am I called, or is this my assignment to be a part of bringing this solution to pass or providing this answer for these people? You can have an idea in your head or very clearly be able to discern like, man, if she could just do X, Y, and Z, then baby, you'd be straight. Like it's fine. Yeah. Like it's easy. So that's something that easily comes to me. And I'm sure many of us in this room, like we're solution oriented people. Like we know how, especially when you're on the outside of a situation, you can look at something and be like, dang, you just in the middle of it. All you gotta do is this, and that, and third, you're good. But you don't realize how doing that in this person's life at work, with your kids, with your partner, with your friend, with your sister, with your mama, with your daddy, you don't realize like how those little investments that you keep making in other people's lives to put your hand in it and be involved in bringing that solution out, you're taking away from yourself and you're spreading yourself too thin. And so that is something that I'm learning, even with like my coaching. A lot of the exercises that I have my clients do, they have to sit and, it's their homework assignment to sit and I'm going to give you this information. I'm going to teach you this principle or this idea. And I want you to go home and sit with it. And I want you to create, this plan, or I want you to use this as a foundation. And I want you to tell me where are your boundaries? I want you to tell me what are your values? I want you to tell me what you're looking for, blah, 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 blah. it allows them to do the work. And one of the things in all transparency that I'm learning is I'm a little bit too involved, not just with, clients, but even in my personal life. When you see a problem, you want to be like, dang, like I know what you can do. But you really truly do have to, you give people a little bit and you let them take that and do with it what they will, because ultimately it brings on another level of frustration when you invest so much in giving them the solution and then you come back next week and they done went back and did the same thing again. And you're like, well, dang, I just spent 3 hours on the phone with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking to you about this thing, like 3 hours. I was supposed to go to bed and you called me. Like I stayed up when I could have been sleeping to give you 3 good hours to tell you exactly what you should do. And you didn't do. And then that causes another level of frustration. And now you look up and you're, and this is honestly this is honestly something that like has happened to me where I'm like so overwhelmed. Like I hit compassion fatigue to where when someone's telling me about something, it's like, baby, I don't even care. Like that's you did that. That's your business. I really don't even care because obviously you like it.
Yeah.
Like, but I got to that point because I was way too invested in bringing the answer. Just because you have the answer doesn't mean it's your assignment. Like you can have the answer and guess what? Maybe you can, God, I pray that you will reveal this to this person. Like, and we underestimate the power of prayer. It really does bring heavenly solutions and revelations to the earth. Believe it or not, everything is not given through you by actually going face to face with the person and giving it to them. Some of those things do manifest through you praying to God, and then he provides an external way for that person to receive it, whether it be he gives it to them directly, he has somebody else who has the capacity to help them to give them the solution. Like there's other ways outside of you being involved. And like Stephanie said, sometimes it's a little bit of pride and God complex where you feel like I have to insert myself in this. And you really don't, because you don't even know God got some other stuff coming up that you need the capacity for, but you don't have it because your hands are too deep in this.
And you might be getting in the way of their path of like what they're supposed to be doing.
Because sometimes people don't learn. We have to hurt. Like it's literally a part of our psychological makeup. Behavior is modified based on reinforcers and punishment. So for some things, you have to hurt. You got to get your heart broken for you to get it. You have to lose something for you to get it. It has to affect you in a real way for you to get it. Somebody telling you to try to prevent it is not enough. Reinforcers and punishment. I have to experience something for me to do it.
Experiencing, not by and even in school, right? Your teacher can tell you, I'll put all the information up on the board, but you don't know until you actually apply that information. And I also think it's important too, because I'm also a person who gives unsolicited advice. Someone will come to me with a problem. They're not even asking for a solution. And I'm like, okay, well, here's our game plan. I got something written up for them.
They just want to talk about
it. But I'm also the person, when I talk to somebody, I don't want a solution because
you're just venting.
I'm just venting. So I think we also need to listen when people are coming to us. What are they asking of me? Are they just calling me just to chit chat, or are they calling me for a solution? Because it goes both ways. I actually get pissed when people give me advice. I'm like, I didn't ask you. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm just telling you because I need to get it out. But I actually don't want to hear anything you have to say.
The audacity.
No, I think that is so good because this is something that my wife and I have incorporated. Shout out, babe. And this is something that she's very good at doing, with each other and then with other people. It's like when people come to you with stuff like, wait, hold on. Do you just want a listening session, or do you want me to help break down the situation for you? And then even with that, to what you were saying, sometimes you probably even shouldn't do that. But I want to clarify with you when you come to me, like, okay, am I just, a helpful ear where you just got to get this out and I'm listening? Or, do you want me to, kind of, as we say, we're solution-based people. You want me to try to help you figure it out? Because that's so important to kind of get that right up front. So then, our expectations are in check. We're not spending those 3 hours and we went over this whole game plan and it's
when they weren't even asking for
and
that.
I got to be
they didn't want it. They didn't want it anyway.
And they're not going to use it. Exactly. So I think that's so important to kind of lay out from the get-go of, hey, am I listening? Or am I helping you solve and figure it out?
I think that's so good. And just to add to that, sometimes when people come to us with issues, their pain makes us uncomfortable. And so we're curating a solution because of how their situation, to mitigate our own anxiety because of what they're enduring and not actually there to listen and to be present,
Mhm.
we're like, oh, well, let me help you get out of this because it's making me uncomfortable. You talking to me about this makes me feel a certain
so
type of
good.
way. And so also check your ego.
Mhm.
When people come to you
Mhm.
with a situation, and I love what Alan said, ask. I do that often now.
Mhm.
Hey, would you like for me to just listen, or are you hoping that we can come to a solution together?
Yeah.
And most of the time, my friends be like, I want to come to a solution together. But
Yeah, I'm about to say, I'd definitely be like, no, tell me what to do.
But some of the time it is people, the best thing that you can do for someone is to validate how they feel.
Yeah.
And listening leads to healing. So just again, check your ego.
And I have to be better about like saying that too. My best friend, she's very good. She's just very supportive. She goes, love you, friend. You'll get through it. She doesn't give too much information.
that.
And I appreciate that.
Short and cute.
Short and cute. But my mom, on the other hand, she's probably watching. This actually happened yesterday. So
Not a
she's
recent.
a singer.
Don't do her.
No, this is something that like I set a boundary, right?
Oh, because we love Jennifer.
We love Jennifer. I was practicing because I need to do like a singing audition thing or whatever. And I was trying to pick a song. And the song that I wanted to do, I was struggling a little bit with. I was like, I don't know if I can sing this ending part, right? And I was practicing and I was like, I don't know if I can get it. And I was like, I don't know what other song I would sing. And I'm just telling my mom that. And then she started sending me songs that I don't know. I got to learn this song in a week. Come on, girl. Like, no. And she sent me like 3 or 4 songs. And I told her, I said, I don't want you to send me songs. I was like, that's not what I was just venting to you. And then in the time that she was sending me all those songs, I practiced and I got the part that I needed to get. So that's also, I'm trying to be better about that. Like because me and her are very alike, because I actually don't like the way that I am, in the sense that like, because I give unsolicited advice, I hate when people give me unsolicited advice. I'm a hypocrite.
What's important is that you own it.
She owns it.
Self-realization.
Exactly. Accountable.
So I had to tell her, like, I didn't want your suggestions.
Right.
I just wanted to get it out. Yeah. So that's something I'm trying to be better at.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It is tough. And you know that people typically, when they do that, they have pure motives and
100%.
intentions.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank you. And
Thank you, Anne. That's not what I need right now.
to tell you. I do that with my parents sometimes. I'll tell my mom, I'm like, I just want you to listen.
Mhm.
My mom will.
But that's what parents do.
And you need that. You need that wisdom. You need that wise counsel.
And they might say something you really need too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to just take whatever they say and put it on a shelf
Mm-hmm.
and go back to it when you're ready to receive it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do y'all want to add anything else to that?
Well, I'm going to tell you an experience I had.
Yeah.
Is it about this boyfriend, girl?
Spill the tea.
That was the last straw with that one. I'm done, guys. Like, I had a
15
job.
straws.
I was at this job where slowly I was there 2 years, but slowly it started giving more work, and I didn't start seeing the more pay. So I was like, something's going on, you know. But by the end, like, I was getting the pay, but then they wanted me to do even more work. I was like, no, that's not matching. That's not matching. So it's like, it was very hard for me to also kind of let it go, because I was also like thinking like, oh no, I was living downtown, the apartment, whatever, the rent, the blah, blah, blah. So there's all this noise in my head. And like the minute I was out of the apartment, I think it took like 2 weeks, I was out of that job. I was like, I'm done here. I can't keep doing what you want me to do. I even told my manager, like, you're asking me to do 3 jobs in one.
Mhm.
That's not possible. And then you're still telling me I'm not doing enough. Excuse me?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was out of there. And like I think that Friday that I quit, that was my last day. Guess who's calling me on Monday? Manager. Guess who didn't pick up? Anna.
You know, I think today's conversation is really striking a chord with the Carter crew today. Because I mean, I don't know if you want to pull up some of the comments, but there have been, I don't know, just throughout the entire show, like I'm just like kind of looking at everything, seeing everything's going on, and I don't know. It just you want to pull up a few of the comments?
You guys ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So we've got from Michael Jordan. He says, I'm doing everything to make my parents proud, but there's nothing which isn't enough for them. Oh, that's a weird last straw, huh? Because how do you last straw your parents?
Right. Especially
No,
when you
that's
feel
a
like
real
nothing
thing.
you do is good enough.
That's a
Or
real thing.
yeah.
But that's more like a parent's thing where they're like they want their son to be more perfect or something. But that's
I think
on
that
them.
happens in relationships too, though.
Right.
I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on our partners to be that perfect person, or to be whatever we feel like we're lacking.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, no one's perfect. No one's going to be 100% of what you need, right?
Yeah.
And if you
Right.
set that expectation, then they're never going to feel like they're enough for you either.
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
think it can go in relationships and parent-child
Yeah.
relationships and even friendships too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sure you're doing great.
Yeah.
Mm.
The real Mrs. Carter
Great.
said, I've learned when I spend more time pumping my brakes and I am emotionally exhausted, I know it's time for me to pull back and go in another direction.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Miss Carter's actually taught me a lot about that because she's definitely the type of person. We even had a phone call earlier this week, and we started talking. And she goes, "You know what? I'm not in the headspace for this conversation." And I was ready to talk about it, but we ended up talking the next day, and she told me I just needed to sleep on it. I needed to think about it. And that was very inspiring to me because I'm the type of person where I'm like, I fight through and I'm just like, no, let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
But there is value in taking a step back and saying,
100%.
Yeah.
I may
So
not be in the
much.
best headspace right now to have a sound conversation.
Mhm.
Let's talk about it another
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
love
to
that.
just
And
let-
that's maturity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like letting people give them the time for them to take in what you said, right?
Yeah.
That silence is gold because
Yeah.
that means that person is both self-aware, listening through what you told them and trying to find the best answer to respond, not to react.
And you're giving them the opportunity to pray about it, think about it, talk
Yes.
about it with their trusted
Eat some
people.
food.
Yeah.
'cause
Eat some
sometimes
food, take a
Yeah,
nap.
get some
When you're
food.
hungry, you're not thinking straight.
You
Right.
can't talk when you're hungry. Trina said, therapists need therapy as well. Boundaries
Yeah.
must be maintained.
I'll say this: I don't have a friend who's a therapist who doesn't have a therapist.
Mhm.
That's like a cardiologist who doesn't have a cardiologist.
Yeah.
Right? You can't offer people something that you don't necessarily partake in yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which side note is a tax deduction too.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay.
trying to get high.
He's trying to get higher.
The bread.
The bread. You see the logo.
There
Don't
you
play
go.
with that.
Already.
Pruitt prep. Come on.
Patricia says, when the stress, anger, whatever you're feeling carries over into other aspects of your life, it seriously affects those around you.
Yeah.
That's my mom, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
We love Erin.
And Adonis saying, compassion fatigue is equal to apathy.
Yeah.
Oh, tell us what apathy means, Stephanie, because I don't know.
If you're apathetic, you don't have any emotion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Flatline.
We have
Thank you, Miriam.
Yep.
I really didn't know what that meant.
Because you've never been apathetic.
Never.
Yeah.
She's too emotional.
Yes.
I be crying and I'm like, I wish I could turn this off right now, but whatever.
Let it flow.
You gotta let it flow. We have from Theopolis. He's saying, good morning,
Dad.
Love Victory Show with Val. He's cut the crap. It's a little late, but he's saying we need to overcome evil with good.
Amen. That's
Romans
right.
12:21. Thank you,
Because you know he's going to give y'all the coordinates.
Every time.
Every time. And Rohit's telling us sometimes when someone asks you the same question over and over again, after he got your answer, you just had enough and the absence of words come into play.
Ooh, okay, brohead.
You know
Yeah.
what? I think that's actually really interesting because I was reflecting on where you're talking, it's like, oh, like how do you know when you're getting burnt out, or like what's the breaking point, the difference between all that? And I'm not gonna lie, I get freaked out because when I notice I stop caring, and then it's like what's the point of even speaking? Everything's like that. I legitimately start getting scared and kind of panicky because I'm like, wait a second, if I'm not caring about what am I doing? Why the heck am I doing this?
Yeah.
Wait, no, I'm supposed to enjoy what I'm doing. And then just it
when
becomes
that
a whole-
passion,
right?
you lose
And it's
it.
like,
Yeah.
but, I don't know if it's because I'm just super aware, but it's like when I stop caring, it's like that's a major red flag.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that
work and stuff.
it- Yes.
go ahead.
I just think it is so important that we're intentional to live a life that honors our existence.
Yeah.
There is no one else on this planet like you. You even being here is a miracle in and of itself
Yeah.
because of the conceptualization process. and all of the sperm that we're fighting through to get to that egg. You know, it is really extraordinary that you are even here. And so do what you can to mitigate getting to that point where, like we're saying, you're on autopilot. What are you doing to honor your own existence? What are you doing outside of your obligations? That actually brings you joy and fulfillment, like coloring, like, you know, having a family, spending time with your family, going outside. Someone said that earlier, walking in nature. What are you doing outside of the things that you must do to survive, to continue to honor the gifts that are innate in you, that were put in you when you were sent down here from heaven, that still exists? Nurture those things, focus on those things, utilize the strengths and the talents that you have outside of your obligations. And you'll find that it's a lot harder to get to your breaking point when you honor yourself and the opportunities that you have to take care of yourself in the meantime, in between time.
That's so good.
I think it's important to have that me time. And I think we live in a world where it's hustle culture, grind. And I think it's so important to have things that you just enjoy. They may not bring you money. It may not bring you anything other than joy. And there's and I think a lot of us spend our free time on the phone, on the TikTok, me included, by the way. Hours. You don't even want to know my screen time. But I have made a point to have things outside of TikTok and all those things that I can enjoy that doesn't bring me anything other than happiness, community.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's important to step outside of that culture.
One of my favorite sayings, you know, especially as of late, is self-care isn't selfish.
I love
it. So you have to take time for yourself to, like you say, find those different things that just make you happy, bring you joy, you know, take you out of the hustle culture of being so busy, you know, unplug, whether that's, you know, coloring or
and just being
whether
productive all the time.
Exactly. Taking a walk to kind of clear your mind, not even listening to anything, you know what I mean? So just taking in nature. So different things like that, because you have to take care of yourself, but you're right. It's such, busy, hustle. And I get it, you know, that's the day and age we're in, but you do have to take some of that time away to, you know, reflect on yourself, you know, walk, talk, pray with God, you walk and sing, you know, whatever it is, you do have to find those things.
Yeah. And have like a screen-free meal. I don't know about y'all, but I always got something playing while I'm eating. But sometimes I like to
put
just
the phone down.
Put it down.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to anything. I'm not watching anything.
Yes.
I'm just eating my food, enjoying every last bite of it too.
And that's mindfulness at the basis.
Yes.
Like we will have lunch and then we'll have a memory of lunch when we get back to work because we were doing a million things while we were eating. You don't remember the texture. You don't remember the flavors. You don't be mindful and be present. The moment is all that you have. The future doesn't exist. The past doesn't exist. All you have is the moment. And you're giving every moment to something that doesn't necessarily matter in the grand scheme of things.
You're not going to remember that TikTok.
No, take that time to check in with yourself. I think that's also another reason why we hit these straws so often and are at our breaking point because we do not check in with ourselves. Multiple times throughout the day, I'm asking myself, how's your heart? Because am I good? That's not good enough because I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I'm good. No, how's my heart? Do I feel okay with this? Tierra commends me on this sometimes. I don't say yes to going to events and doing things nearly as often as I used to. And it's because I used to say yes all the time. And then I would disappoint people because when the day would come, I wouldn't have the energy to actually do the thing.
Straws.
I wouldn't have any straw. I'll be grappling for straws. And so now I've implemented this thing where I would say, let me get back to you. Even if I know that I could do it, because I just want to check in with myself. Hey, how's your heart? Do you have the capacity? Do you have the finances? Do you have the resources to do this thing? Because you don't want to continue to let people down because you were negligent, again, like the word, the acronym, and you didn't check in with yourself before committing to things, and people are relying on you. And it's not your fault. Actually, it is your fault that you don't have the capacity because you didn't take the necessary steps to replenish your cup.
You did not. One of the things my father-in-law says, you have to listen when your own personal check engine light is on.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. And like you say, you have to check your own check engine light. And we can't just see the light blinking, keep driving, hitting override, keep hitting override, keep hitting like, no, you have to take that time for yourself and be like, you know what, I just can't. So I think that's powerful in what you say. And then one other thing on what you were saying, one of the things that I think in this hustle culture that everybody should do is take a break to eat lunch. Something super
That
simple.
part.
Like stop working and eating at your desk.
Yeah.
Because work, I got to do this. What is that?
The work will be there
30
tomorrow.
minutes. Exactly. What is that 30
that.
minutes to take some time, go enjoy a meal, that you actually remember what you ate instead of just scarfing it down. You know what I mean? So
the company's not going to shut down because you took 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't, unless you work for NASA. You know what I mean?
Or air traffic control.
Exactly.
Unless it's like in the moment.
Right.
You got to take that time to kind of separate. And that's, I'm preaching to myself because it's something I've had to do. You know what? That email's still going to be there.
And
that team Slack message is still going to be there.
Right.
No, I'm going to step away.
I'll be ignoring them teams calls. I be dancing to the song. I'm not answering that.
I love what you said about the personal check engine light, because we've been talking about this, and I actually just realized how I know when I'm at that point, when my check engine light is on. She's a sleeper. I love to sleep already, even when I'm healthy and happy. I like to be in bed. I like to take a good little nap. Yeah. But I notice my check engine light is on when I am ignoring everything to sleep. Like I come home from work, I got stuff to do, I got errands to run, I got to walk my dogs, I got to do this, I got to take care of all this, and I'm like, no, and I sleep. So I know when I'm sleeping for 12, 13, 14 hours, that's when something's wrong. Yeah. It feels good. Yeah. But then I wake up still tired.
Yeah, that's how you know.
I still have all that same stress that I had before I went to bed. I mean, it's an escape.
Yeah. I went to a training, and it was a Franklin Covey quote that was really good. And I always remember it. It says, are you ever too busy driving to stop and get gas? And I always remember that because it's the same thing as that check engine light. It's like you can't ignore the self-care. You can't ignore the boundary setting. You can't ignore that stuff because you will run out of gas.
And
like that car
problems when you run out.
Like you cannot move. You cannot continue if you don't get. It doesn't matter if you're rushing to get somewhere. I gotta stop and get gas, or I'm not gonna be able to make it.
Tierra, you are literally calling me out because this morning I went to Bible study last night, and I was like,
she has 4 miles left.
Not 4, I got about 20 something.
No, I have 20 miles left.
That's a wild word.
Well, because I was going to grab it last night, and then I called a friend, right? And I was catching up with my friend, and then I made it all the way home, and I was like, shoot, I passed up the gas station. I was like, okay, I'm going to get it this morning. And then this morning, I was running behind, and I'm like doing the math. I'm like, okay, I can get to the office. There's a gas station by the office.
Doing the math.
That was such a good analogy.
Running
I like that.
on the
analogy because the car is something that we think that we know we have to take care of. You know, you got to get your oil change. You know, you got to get gas. You know, you got to get the inspection.
Got to get them tires rotated.
And you're going to take work off to do it if you need to because you need to get to work.
You can't do anything without that car.
And if you don't change the oil, then that affects the transmission.
And the engine.
That transmission, then
it went from $100 issue to a $5,000 issue. You're going in debt to fix the issue that you could have paid for out of
my God. My God. Put $30 in the tank and been fine.
Wow. And now you gotta call AAA. On the side of the road.
Gotta wait 2 hours. What's those? Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
You
have to prevent it on the front end. Check your own check engine light. Take care of yourself. Have the self-care. Separate. Do those things that make you happy.
Proactive instead of
be proactive. Absolutely.
This was such a good conversation.
It was.
It's almost over. It went so fast.
I know, but this was such a good conversation.
It was.
I like being on this side. Miss Carter maybe can let me do a little more. The Love and Victory Show. Woohoo! But now it's time for a final thought. So we're going to go around. We'll start with you, Alan. Just tell us your final thoughts on today and what your experience was on the Love and Victory Show.
Wow. So experience has been great. This has been so fun. Shout out Brother Carter, Val. Thank you for having me. Stephanie, thank you. It's been an absolute blast. So this has been fun. I'd say final thought is, check your own check engine light. Like, hey, do that preventative maintenance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't let you get to a breaking point where you're literally at that last straw. Take care of yourself first and handle those things. Think it through. Don't make rash decisions. Life decisions. As we talked about. Hey, I'm just quitting this job tomorrow, and
because
YOLO.
today.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Ponder on it a little bit.
I'm just walking out. I'm done. Don't do that. But you do have to be intentional about your moves, but you also have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because there's only one you. And you know what? When it comes to other stuff, you have to choose you over everybody else.
Yeah,
that's right. I like
That's
that.
good.
What about you, Tierra? What are your final thoughts, and what was your experience on the Love and Victory show today?
My experience on the Love and Victory show is always amazing. Like, I look forward to coming every single time, and I never want to leave. So of course, I love being here. My final thought is just check in with you. Like, I always talk about doing inventory. I think it's so important. I'm so passionate about inventory, which is why I made Break Up to Breakthrough journal. But
I love that journal.
You know what I'm saying? I just think it's so important to check in with you, not even just like in between relationships or in relationships, but like literally just checking in with like, how am I doing in increasing your self-awareness to know this is how I normally function when I'm in a good space. And that way you have a thermometer to see like, why am I all the way over here? Like, why am I? And there are seasons of transitions. And I do believe that the Lord plans seasons of suffering where things are going to be rough. But those seasons are not supposed to last 40 years. Those seasons are supposed to last for a short amount of time. Kind of going back to the question Steph had earlier. Those seasons are to last short amount of times to develop your character, to make you better, to make you more resilient, to build you up, right? And the mindset determines if you do that. But if you find yourself in a perpetual state of frustration, then you need to stop and you need to take inventory of what's going on and adjust from there, whether that means making changes in yourself and how you approach things, or if that means you need to cut something off and let it go.
That's so good.
I like that.
She's so smart. Everything she says, I just like hang on the words. I'm just like, wow, yeah, that's it. That's so good. My final words. Okay, so I want to say happy birthday to my mom because her birthday was the 17th. So two of my favorite people, Brother Carter and my mama, they are born like 2 days apart. And so we're so grateful that you all are alive
So they're
and
basically
here.
twins.
They're basically twins, 100%.
And then Tamara.
But I hope you have a better relationship. And my final thought would just be when God created the entire world in 6 days, on the seventh day, he rested. You do not have more fortitude than God.
Come on.
If God can rest, if he knows the seriousness of taking a break, then you need to honor yourself and also take a break. He is our example. He created everything in 6 days, and the seventh day, he rested.
And everything you're doing isn't that important either.
Observe the Sabbath.
Because you were not doing all the things that he was doing.
Right.
Definitely did not carve out mountains.
Right.
Tierra said you haven't carved a mountain yet.
Exactly.
Rest.
Yes. Do you guys have final thoughts?
For me, I think I'm gonna go with comparing cultures a little bit. Like in Asian culture, they hone in on you have to focus with your meal. You have to know what you're eating. I think in some restaurants, I think it's in Ninja Ramen, where they have like, you don't eat at a table with other people. You eat by yourself. And it's like a cubicle to eat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm like, that's a good example to go with. And then again, I feel like in America, it's very capitalist society. So of course, capitalism, we're thinking about the bread. We're thinking about the money. What people like immigrants, what do they come to do here? They come to work. They know over here, we need the money. We're working for money. We're doing the things we need to do. People have 2 to 3 jobs here in this country. So even though, yes, that's the vibe, they understand that at some point they're going to take a break. They're going to go back to their country, and they're going to go for months at a time. They're going to go say, now it's my time to take a break, to enjoy my family, to know that I'm enjoying this money, right? I'm enjoying this bread with my family, because that's the point too. Like, you don't want to be just working to have money. You want to be working to enjoy it, to have a break and do that. So definitely take those breaks, take your vacation. Your life is only one life. If you're not YOLOing out there, look at Brother Carter and Mrs. Carter. They just went to Tulum. You know, you're not too busy to not take a vacation. Or to not check in yourself. So that's
What about you, Aaron?
I want to leave the people with a gauge, and this is something that I personally use to kind of just figure out where I'm at in the broad scheme of things. This is like the big umbrella kind of feeling, right? Because our lives are holistic, it's everything. So I kind of realize I know when something's going on if after about 2 or 3 weeks, my reflection and my way of just remembering the last 2 or 3 weeks was just pure chaos. Because we enjoy being present, like on the Love and Victory show with Val, right? But my goal for my life and how I think, I think is like the healthiest way, but are you able to be present where you're at? Because you can never leave yourself, right? So if you can't be present at work, if you can't be present when you're driving, if you can't be present when you're eating, right? It's like, are you consciously choosing to do all the things, or are you going on autopilot? And if your broad sense is that the past 2 or 3 weeks has not been that, then that's kind of like you know what? Let's check that little light on the engine.
Yeah.
That's good.
You guys all summed it up pretty well. My final thoughts are to check in with yourself, do inventory, and just be really intentional about like where you are. Because I think, kind of like we said, we live in like a hustle culture. We live in, everything, I'm guilty of this. If y'all saw my Google Calendar, it's color coded. I'm booked up every day. I got something every day. I got a bill due. I got an errand to run. I got to be somewhere. I got to do something. So I'm guilty of this. And this is something that I try to do, is to just take time to figure out, how am I feeling? Where am I at mentally? Where am I at emotionally? And having that community of people around you that can kind of help guide you and notice. I didn't even notice that I had that sleeping thing until someone told me. Someone told me, they were like, you've been like taking a lot of naps. Are you okay? Like, are things good? And I didn't even realize that was a coping mechanism that I had until someone who I love and care about and who loves me brought that to my attention. So listen to the people around you, because they know you. You know yourself best, but the people around you can notice things that you may not pick up on, or you just see as like I don't know, I was sleepy. I took a nap.
It's normal. It's always community.
Yes, it always comes back to community. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this special edition of the Love and Victory Show with Val. Again, happy birthday to Stephanie's mom and to Brother Carter, and happy anniversary to the lovely couple. They've been married for millions and trillions and billions of years.
We'll be married for millions and trillions and billions of years.
Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.